Today we have Rafael Gomes.
Gomez, yeah.
Gomez. Don't know how you'd say it. There's the Spanish way and then there's the Brazilian way. Anyways, Rafael is a ray of sunshine from Brazil. This guy's ambition has taken him across the globe. In 2012, he earned a full scholarship to spend a year in Chicago, completing his senior year of high school in the United States. Later, from 2018 to 2020, he received another full scholarship to pursue a double degree in engineering in Paris. During that time, he spent a month in Rome, immersing himself in an intensive Italian language and culture course. After a brief return to Brazil during the pandemic, a job offer brought Rafael back to France, where he currently resides. His story is all about following his dreams, embracing new cultures, and building a life of freedom. Rafael's journey is sure to inspire you to choose your own ambition. So let's jump into it. Rafael, thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you very much.
Rafael, you're so amazing. I gotta say, when I first met you in Brazil, I just thought, wow, this guy's awesome. I really can just
Mhm.
see myself being friends with him for a long time. And even though our time was short together in Brazil, I'm so glad that we've kept in contact.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same thing. I remember it was playing volleyball, right? At the beach, and
Mm-hmm.
then we just started talking, and then you were talking Portuguese to me. I was like, okay, cool. She speaks another language. I was like, yes, let's connect. Then just like the feeling, the energy, the connection was really good. So I was like, yeah, that's someone that I want to keep in contact with. And here we are, like, how many years after? three
Oh
years later.
gosh, I know. I can't
Yeah.
believe it. I always say, God puts people in our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So whatever that is, I'm so grateful for you, Rafael.
Yes, likewise. I mean, like the time we spent together, like even though it was short in presence, I think it made a good connection and it resonates even after, like even if we are apart, I kind of feel like we still get in touch and it's kind of the same or the connection still exists. That's something that I really like.
I'm glad the feeling's mutual because how awkward would that be?
No, Nat's not a good person. No, just kidding. She's amazing.
Well, Rafael, I'd really like to start off with kind of just who you are and where you're from, just to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay, so I come from a little town in Brazil, in the state of São Paulo, but like in the countryside, it's a really small town. So like I grew up in a family that's like we are not rich, neither poor, but like we knew that we didn't have all comfort most of people had. So every time, like since I was young, my goal was I had dreams, I had goals, and I knew I had to get there somehow. And
Hmm.
for me, like the education was one of the better paths. So that's when in Brazil we have a big culture of watching American movies, and the American culture is really strong there.
Hmm.
So all the movies we watch most of the time as kids, it's American movies, and I like that's how I started. It's dubbed, but we know it's American, and then that's how I started to have the yeah. You didn't know it?
I didn't know it was dubbed. I always, deal with subtitles in movies, but dubbed, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's all dubbed. I mean, you can switch. Some TVs they let you switch, but it's mostly dubbed, so it's a little different. And but this like made me realize that English was important. So like that's how I started learning languages.
Hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I need to learn this language, but also like in Brazil, the public schools, the English we have there is not the best. So if you want to learn better English, you either go for a private school or I don't know, you go abroad but since we didn't have that much money to spend on either private schools or going abroad, I was trying to find ways of doing it myself or finding people that could help me.
Hmm.
So that's how I was like trying to find opportunities. That's like you were mentioning scholarships. So that was my main target. How can I get a scholarship to go abroad and do something and learn more about the culture?
Hmm.
And then I went to the US, stayed like there for my senior year of high school.
Wait, let's back up. Let's back up because
Okay.
you're skipping a lot here, Rafael.
Okay.
So, first of all, you said you had dreams from a young age due to the American culture kind of being present in Brazil. I mean, at what age did you know that you wanted to learn English and have an experience or improve that?
Oh, I think it's like 12, 13. I was 12 or 13.
That's crazy to me because I had zero such dreams. I feel like mine were like, I want a boyfriend, you know?
Yeah, but like sometimes that's something about maybe it's about I don't know if it's Brazilian culture, but like a lot of people when we have less or we have different situations, we kind of we want to find a way out of there or to get a better position.
Hmm.
And I think that's like my situation. Like I always saw people in different lives in the movies. I was like, how can I get there? I think it's just like the different perspectives, like where we are at the moment and how we perceive it, how we deal with the situation and how we continue.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that's a little like I don't know, I always was like this trying to figure out how to go further.
Kind of like, I'm here, I want to be there. What's in
Yeah,
between?
yeah, exactly.
Hmm. And so you're one of how many children or how many in your family?
So I am the middle one, and I have a brother who is 2 years older than me, and a sister who is 6 years younger than me.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we are five: my mom, my dad, and my two siblings.
Okay, and did your brother have some experience before you, or did you know anybody that had gotten a scholarship before or done something like you're about to do?
Not at all. I
Really?
mean, I think I was just always a daydreamer,
Hmm.
and I get my brother, he wanted to do it, so, but I don't think it was the right moment. That's something too. Like, I think a lot of things in my life, they were there in the right moment with the right preparation. And I mean, that's how it all happened. Like, even now, I'm here because I can tell you later, but I had the right opportunity at the right time, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. So how did you find this scholarship? What is it
Okay.
called? Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. So I was hoping to get a scholarship during high school. So there's not a lot of scholarships for high school students, but there are quite a lot of programs that do it. So for example, I'm not doing propaganda for any of them. I don't get paid for it, but they're like
But
Rotary.
maybe before I publish this, you can get give
Yeah. And then I say yes, affiliate links.
me
But there's like Rotary Club, which is I think maybe it's well known worldwide. What else?
it's
I
a
mean, there's a
charity,
couple of
right? Or volunteer charity, kind of both.
yeah, yeah, that's it. But it's I don't know a lot about the program. I just knew they had scholarships. But the one I got, it's AFS. I don't know if you know about it. So AFS, it's a volunteering-based institution, and they came up with during the World War II, I guess, I think, if I'm not wrong. So like the goal was to put two nations together and then avoid future wars. So for example, if I'm a Brazilian guy who goes to France in a young age and I get connections there, in the future, if we want to start a war, I will think twice because I know I have people I care about in another country. So like the main goal, the base of the organization is to bring people together and make connections. So like first of all, like just hearing this was something that I found amazing. Like the
It gave me goosebumps when you were telling me,
yeah,
honestly. I was like gonna get a tear in my eye. I don't know why.
yeah. So like for me, it's I just loved it, the idea, and I was like, okay, I'll stick to it. And they always offer scholarships. So like usually you have to pay to go abroad with them, but part of it they donate, they make a reserve so they can give scholarships for some people. And for my year, British Petroleum, the
Yeah,
gas
yeah,
station
yeah,
or the
yeah.
company. Yeah. So they created a partnership with AFS, and then they created a program called Global Citizens of Tomorrow, and that was the opportunity. So like to go to the US, you had to be at max 18 years old. Otherwise, you couldn't fit the rules of the program. I was 17. Like that was my last chance. I
Right.
was like, if I don't get it now, I won't get it. And then it was like a three phrases selection, Brazil wide, and I was like, I have to get it. I mean, I'll do whatever. I'll get it. And then I tried to talk to teachers like, can you please help me with spoken English? We can just have like extra classes. I can pay you whatever I can. And then this teacher, she was helping me to improve a little bit my spoken English because one of the phases was interview in English. And then I mean, I did my best. Like I tried, I don't know, like I gave everything, and then at the end, I got the first place at the selection.
First place out of there was a
I
list.
don't know, like 2,000
You're kidding
Brazilians.
me.
Yeah, I don't remember like the numbers. I just remember the guy calling me, like, "Oh, congratulations, you got the scholarship," and oh, and by the way, you were the first place. I was like, "Okay, nice."
How did you feel in that
And
moment?
I was in shock. Like I was that's not true. And then my mom was beside, like next to me, and she's like, "No way!" And then she started crying, and then I started crying, and then it was like a really like emotional moment. And then yeah, so like that was the moment where I was like, "Oh wow, I'm in, I got it." And then that was a life-changing experience. It
So
was
your
a different
mom,
kind of
I was just going to say your mom knew what you were trying to do and she was supportive.
no, like I didn't tell anyone.
You did it.
No. Like by that age, so before AFS, there's another one called UWC. It's like a boarding school. You will stay there for 2 years and you do like a boarding school. So like you stay there 2 years with I don't know how many students. Yeah, I don't remember, but it's like a different kind of school. They select kids from all over and they have, I think, by the time they had 12 schools on the world. So Italy, Bosnia, United States, Italy. I don't know. I don't remember all the cities. And then I tried to get into this program, but I didn't get it. And I mean, like the level of frustration I had by the time, like I tried to, but I didn't get in. My family knew it. So I was like, oh, that was kind of, they were upset. Like on my mind, I was like, oh, they're upset because I didn't get in. And,
You
so
didn't want to
the second,
disappoint anybody.
yes, exactly. So like, the first time I told everybody I was applying to. The second one I was kind of hidden of my family and everybody. So like on the last part, I was like, okay, I gotta tell them because it's the last one. And also they need to let me go because they have to sign papers because I was underage. And yeah, so they knew like on the last phase that I was applying for it.
That's just crazy. Again, crazy to me because I would have never thought that first that was even possible. I'd never heard of any sort of program like that, which is weird because we actually had exchange students. We had a couple that came in. I think we had one guy from freaking, I don't know what it was called, maybe Montenegro or Paraguay, and he came over on a tennis scholarship for high school, which again, I don't know how that worked. We also lived in a small town, but it didn't even cross my mind that I could do the same thing somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you to even have that idea at such a young age is just it just kind of blows my mind. And then again, another place where I'm just like amazed by you is that you decided to go for it, that you went and found some sort of opportunity and applied. I'm just curious where you think that your confidence came from because there's so many times where you could have just been like, "Nah, I'm not going to get it," or may not have the belief in yourself.
I think like even though I didn't tell anything to anybody, like I always had the support in my family, in the community. Like I grew up in church, so like we kind of were, I had support, even though like for some parts I didn't tell anyone. And for example, this is just one aspect, but for example, so like in high school, like before high school, we have the middle school, and in my hometown. I didn't like what I heard about the schooling process. I People were like they're not challenging, it's a bad system, la la li, la la la. And I was like, I cannot stay here because like I had already in my mind that education was gonna bring me to somewhere. So if I stayed there, I wouldn't get prepared enough to get somewhere. So I was like, I had to find a scholarship to go to another a private school. I don't know, like a better education system. And I was like, I'll try myself. Like I'll just study. But also I was telling people this, and we created a study group, people from the church, and then we're always studying together. And like we were supportive, so we're like, okay, you want it? Cool. I like your idea. Let's try together. And then we did this study group, and we were always supportive. So like the scholarship to the US, it was after I got into a different school. So before the US, I did another process, another selection process to get into so like in Brazil we have city level based education, state level, and federal level, and it gets better. Like they have more resources, teachers are, I don't know, like the quality is better. So I was in city level, and I wanted to go either to state level or federal level, and that was in 2009. So in 2009, I got accepted to the kind of different kind of program, which is how do you call it? When you do high school and training program, like you get a technician diploma together.
Vocational school, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So like in 2009, I got into the vocational program, and it's a different level. Like it's more challenging. Then I think this believe in myself got after this. Like if I got into this, I can get in something else, and it was building in. And in 2012, I tried this one. So I think that's a sequence of events. Again, like on the right moment, I got into the right place.
Sure. And so your faith, you think, also helped you. Your faith in your community. Was it your family that introduced you to religion, I'm guessing?
Yeah, since I mean, like I grew up in church. My mom was the first one who went to church,
Hmm.
and I mean, since I know myself, like I was in church. So
Hmm.
my life since I was a kid, it was like I think I spent more time in church than anywhere else. And then I was always involved in community service on the like I was the keyboard player on the church. With
You're a
friends there, we
musician
started.
too.
Yeah, I play the piano.
I don't know if you saw, but I just got a ukulele. Maybe one day we
Oh,
can
yeah, I
jam.
saw it. Let's do it. Yeah, so like church is a like before it was a big part of my life, and then it got a little less because like a lot of stuff happened. But at the beginning, like I was spending most of my time in church than anywhere else. And like that's like my faith. Yeah, like my faith in God and everything. I think it's a strong part of my story too. Like when I say everything happened by chance, I don't think it's just by chance. Like there's a purpose. I don't know what the purpose is. I just follow it, but there's a purpose somewhere, somehow, somewhere.
It's all part of some master plan.
Yeah, that I'm not sure to understand yet, but I mean, that's part of the adventure.
Yeah, and just knowing a little bit about your story, it seems like a beautiful plan and adventure. Oh, I'm excited for
I hope
you.
so.
And so your parents were pretty supporting and loving as well. So between those events, your own confidence rising from trying something and succeeding, you feel like that kind of helped you keep pursuing your dreams.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like, of course, every time, because like I'm telling you the times I succeeded, but there's
Mhm.
also like a lot of times where I failed, and I mean, it's not only going up, there's always going down too, but something that like I had the support of my family and everything. It's stay in the low high, like on the valley for a long time. Like if you're sad, if you're disappointed, keep it, but learn how to see the after, like and learn how to get back in track and continue.
So how many opportunities would you say that you applied for, within your high school years?
So before high school, I think I applied to 4 programs
Okay.
for the scholarship. I mean, there's not a lot for high school, so it's
Hmm.
pretty difficult. And I think it was Costa Rica, this UWC. There was a private one. I don't remember the name of it, but there was a private institution.
Hmm.
There's and a fourth one to the US, but I don't remember the name.
Gotcha. So this AFS program that you applied for and was awarded, can any Brazilian apply for it?
I don't know how it works right now because it's pretty seasonal, like
Mm.
it depends how much money they have. And also with the pandemics, I don't know how it got affected.
If it still exists?
Yeah, I know it exists, but I don't
Okay.
know like if they only keep mostly the paid programs for people who can pay for afford the program, or if they still have scholarships. But I would doubt they don't have scholarships. I'm sure they have it. I'm
Hmm.
sure they still have like this side of it that they want to help students that want to do something. They have the like this thing in them, but they don't have the financial means for it.
Gotcha. So now tell me, now we can move forward, Rafael. I felt
Okay.
like that was some awesome background. So you are getting prepared to go on this trip. What do you take with you?
Where to the US?
Yes.
I mean, like I didn't know what to do, like what to think, but I mean, I was like, okay, if I got in, something's gonna happen, something's gonna help me, and I'll make sure like it's gonna work. And then like for the AFS program, it's a different kind of structure. So each student they have a host family. So like I had to prepare an application to send to the AFS, and AFS was gonna distribute to all the families of the I went to Chicago region. So they would send out the applications and the families would pick the students. So they would see the profile, like what the students like, what they dislike, where they're from. I don't think they show pictures because it's like, like the discrimination thing.
Profiling or yeah.
Yeah. And then I had an amazing host family. We still keep in touch. And the funny thing is, like, I was, okay, I hope they're gonna be Christians. I hope they're gonna still, I'll still be able to go to church and everything.
Hmm.
And it was a Christian family. And so they were really supportive. Like by the time so I got the full scholarship, but it was just able I like they paid for the program. So I still had to pay for the expenses, like
Okay.
the food, transport. They would give me $100 like as a pocket money.
Hmm.
But I mean that's pretty much nothing, like for everything. But like the host family also they would pay for me a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
We did a lot of road trips and we went to New York. Where else? Nashville, Colorado. We went skiing. We went to a lot of places and they paid for me. I was like, that's amazing. I would never be able to do it. And then, I mean, it's just like perfect. And we still keep in touch, the Tuckers.
The Tuckers. So you didn't
Yeah.
get to talk with them or meet them before you
Mm,
Brazil?
I mean, by the time like chatting on the internet wasn't the thing, but they sent me emails, they sent me pictures.
Hmm.
What else? Yeah, it was mostly chat, like text. So I have no idea how they sounded like, like it was all a surprise.
You said that was 2010, right?
2000,
2012. Okay. I think Skype was pretty popular during that time, but you guys didn't do that.
yeah, I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure we didn't do Skype by the time. I remember emails I received and
Isn't that
pictures.
funny? That is
Yeah, yeah,
we're dating ourselves.
yeah. But it was like such an amazing experience.
Hmm.
Once I got there, we get there with all the exchange students from the region. We do a camping for orientation.
Hmm.
Then we go to the family, and once I got to the family, they were already like they knew already AFS because the mom she already went to AFS programs and she hosted the students already, and we were overlapping because she sent the oldest daughter to Peru,
Hmm.
and then I came to her like to replace her, and it was like they were really welcoming. We went to a park for a picnic, and it was just like amazing. I didn't feel awkward at all, and yeah, I think it was one of the most beautiful experiences I had.
So they had kids. Were there kids there living with you when you moved there?
Yeah, so like the oldest daughter. She was there just for 1 month, I think, just for a short period of time,
Mhm.
because she was leaving to Peru. And then the middle child, like the middle girl, the Victoria and JP, the youngest one, they were there, and we we were five, like the same thing as in my family, but
Mhm.
American family. So like the dad, the mom, and the I wasn't the middle one anymore, but me, Victoria, and JP.
Gotcha. So you had your little American family.
Yes.
How cute.
And like we saw each other like in November of last year. We went to Spain together. They came here, and then we went there to not last year, I guess 2024.
2024.
Yeah, yeah.
But still,
And
that's
then
crazy. Like 13, 14 years later, you guys are
yeah,
still keeping in contact and meeting?
yes. Oh, and then on October I went to Denver because she lives in Denver, the mom.
Hmm.
And then I was visiting a friend in Chicago, and then I went to Denver, and then we just spent time there too with the mom, like my host mom. And
Hmm.
then once I came back to France, they came to Spain to do a tour, and then we spent Thanksgiving together. It
Just
was
warms
cool
my
because
heart.
it was the family and all the exchange students because they had three exchange students after me, and then we did like a big AFS reunion.
So, was Chicago the only place that you could go to, or how did that work?
Oh yeah. So for example, no, for example, for the program, for the BP, because BP, I think they had the headquarters in Chicago and Houston.
Mm,
So they offered the scholarship, but I think their goal is also to like hire people after, because it was specific for math also. The program, they had a part of math test to test the abilities of the students,
hmm.
because it's like a STEAM program.
Did you know it was a STEM program at the time?
Yeah,
Okay. And you were like, yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, because my vocational high school was in industrial automation. So it was kind of a pre-engineering school.
That's right. You guys kind of specialize a little bit earlier than we do,
Yeah,
right?
it's possible. It's not a common, but it's
Okay.
possible.
Okay. And that kind
And
of
yeah,
helped
so
you
like
out with that.
yeah, for sure, because like the education there was really kind of tough, and especially on math. And yeah, so like the program was just for the Chicago and Houston area. So
Mhm.
all the cities, suburbs, and but there's no choice.
Okay. And was it everything that you would have imagined? Was it a dream? Or, I mean, were there hardships? Kind of tell me about that.
I think both. Like it was really cool seeing everything I was seeing movies in real life. Yeah.
I'm
Is it
losing you.
working?
There we
Yeah.
go.
Do you know the movie Home Alone?
Yes.
So it's in Winnetka, and I was living that was where my high school was. And then I could see the house of the movie. I was like, oh wow, that's cool. So like
No
seeing all the
way.
things that I just saw on TV and in real life, for me it was pretty cool. But of course, there's not only good stuff. Like when you move with a different culture, different family, there's always going to be like communication issues, habits issues. I don't know, cultural issues. But at the same time, something that was good that we were always communicating.
Hmm.
That's we in AFS programs we used to say it's a year, but it's like a lifetime because we just spend 1 year abroad, but it's like we grow for like so much because it's a lot that we go through a lot. We have to deal with different emotions. We have to deal with different culture. So we have to learn to deal this not alone, but most of the time it's just by ourselves. We have to
Hmm.
become like mature more quick.
Hmm.
So that was a good and bad experience. Not bad experience, but it wasn't only good stuff. There was like that's life. Like ups and downs.
Yeah. So there were other people in the program that was experiencing similar things. I'm guessing you guys had some advisors as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, for each student, we would be assigned for a liaison, which is a volunteer
Hmm.
that is between AFS, like the staff, and the families and the
Hmm.
students. So if the family has problems with the student, they could try to talk to the students and
Hmm.
try to solve it. If it didn't work, they would talk to the liaison. And the same way, the other way around, if the students had problems with the family, they would try to talk to the family. If it didn't work, they try to talk to the liaison. And most of the time, it's just we hope and it's gonna be okay. Like the relationship is gonna be, despite the problems, it's gonna work.
Hmm.
But sometimes it's we have to change families, we have to replace the students.
Hmm.
But it's a really well structured program.
So what were some of the challenge? Can you share?
Let's see. The challenges, I mean, like already the communication, like English, sometimes I couldn't express myself.
So you weren't speaking as good of English as
No,
you
no,
are
no,
now.
not at all. Not at all. I mean, like I came there with two or something.
Super basic. I don't know
Yeah.
if everybody knows what A2 is, but I would say that's basically present tense conversation.
Hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, you just can say, I like this, I like that, and you cannot have conversations, you cannot have dialogues with people. You know, like if someone asks you about something, you can say yes or no, but you cannot say that's because, and you elaborate about it.
And
So
was the
that's
translator very popular or like on your phone? Was that very popular back then?
no.
It
I mean,
wasn't.
I think I had a phone which is like a slider, you know. I don't remember what's the brand.
Yes. Yes. I know what you're talking about. It's like a sidekick maybe or something like that.
Yeah, so you would light up and there's like the keyboard and
Uh-huh.
you can type. It wasn't touch at all. So
So true. Yeah. 2010, that was really before flip phones, touch, like anything that had like internet or anything like that. So for all the young kids out there, uh, you probably have to carry a dictionary around.
yeah, I think that was one of the solutions. And I don't think I don't remember now if I like the smartphones were popular. I guess so, because I remember my whole siblings they had iPhones, but at least for me I didn't have it. I
Hmm.
don't remember why, but I just had this phone that's a slider, you know, like
Hmm.
you can just type
And play
and
Snake.
yeah, exactly. Also, high school was tough in terms of catching up with the language too, you know, like making friends too. Because if you don't speak the language, it's harder to make friends because I mean already you have to speak to make friends. And then if you're not able to communicate in the language, it's quite hard to meet people and share your what you like, what you don't like.
Hmm.
What else? Food too. I mean, I thought I was gonna gain weight, but actually my host family was really healthy. So it was the opposite. I lost weight. But in general, like the food was a big shock because I was used to eat some like different stuff, and I went there and I
So what are
didn't
you
have.
used to eating in Brazil and then what did you eat in the US?
Oh, like Brazilians eat rice and beans on all meals, for example. And I was eat, like super um, addicted to it. And then I went to the US. Rice is not the main carb. Usually it's potatoes. Sometimes for lunch you have sandwiches. For us, sandwiches are not lunch at all. You know, like it's just a snack.
Hmm.
So it was different. Burgers, a barbecue.
Hmm.
Barbecue, it's nothing compared to Brazilian ones.
Not. So did you not like the food then, like at all, or you just missed your food?
Oh no, it's most about missing the food.
Hmm.
Then every once in a while we would try to get some Brazilian ingredients to make recipes, and when we together with other Brazilians that were in town in the region, we would also try to cook and go to Brazilian restaurants. But it was most about getting used to this stuff than it was like disliking.
So did you cook for yourself much? Was there a difference there? I imagine your mom cooked a lot back at home. I'm not sure what it would be like at your new family.
Oh no, this was also something good. They would cook for everybody and I was just there eating it. I didn't have to cook myself.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's good because then I learned how Americans eat. Because
Hmm.
otherwise, I was gonna cook myself, and that wouldn't be what I what they eat would be just what I eat.
Yeah, you had the full-on experience.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was one of the most immersive experiences I had, like culture-wise and language-wise. And I think if anyone could have this experience, they must have it because it's life-changing and change your perspective, and it's just amazing. Like even the connections you make, the friends you make, the connection you make with your host family, and
Hmm.
I think it's just amazing.
So you would do it again.
Yes, I think so.
There's no part of you that would say, you know what, this wouldn't actually be for somebody. Like, would there be a type of person or somebody that you would say, yeah, this wouldn't be for you?
I think it's like plays a lot with the mindset of the person. If the person is too attached to the family, to the friends, and they are not willing to just open up and just show up and be receptive for no's, because like once you get there, if you don't if you're not proactive, you're not gonna get anything. If you don't ask for friends, if you don't go like and ask, hey, can I hang out with you? Or just be there, just show yourself, nothing's gonna fall from the sky. So you have to be there, you have to be proactive. And also something that we say, because I was also a volunteer after, like for 6 years for AFS, and most of the students that it doesn't work for them, it's because they keep just seeing the stories or talking to people back in their country, so they don't detach from the
Mm.
country. I'm not saying they should detach, forget where they're from, but they have to detach for like for the while they are there during the experience. So
You
usually,
can't let FOMO.
yeah, exactly. So like we usually ask people like the students to even with the family, like try talking to them like every weekend, every 2 weeks, not to contact the family for too long, because then you get homesick.
Hmm.
You start seeing that, "Oh, I'm here at my room while my friends are going to a party, to the movies, but I can't make friends. Like I still don't have friends, so I'm
Hmm.
not going out."
Mm.
And then like the head gets all over and you don't enjoy your experience.
What does it mean to be a volunteer AFS?
Okay, so AFS is a volunteer based. So there are different roles. You can,
Hmm.
if you like, for example, I loved the experience, and I wanted to somehow pay back what I got from the experience. So I started as a volunteer.
Back in Brazil.
So yeah, in Brazil. No,
Okay.
even in the US. Like
Okay.
um on my last months on the experience, they had the selection process. So they would go for high schools to say, oh, we have because actually it was Brazil and the US, and they would send Brazilians to the US and Americans to Brazil. So it was a kind of bi-directional kind of program.
Hmm.
And in the US, they would go on high schools and promote the program. And then I went with the volunteers to say what my experience was and to encourage students to take the leap of faith
Hmm.
and apply for the program. And so that's how I started volunteering. So I would take time off and go with the local volunteers, just talk about my experience and answer questions and just let them know what's the importance in my life for the program.
Why didn't you come to Washougal, Washington, where I was? I'm just confused. Where were you?
Next time, next time.
And that's why it's so important for people like you in programs to exist and to go to schools and make people aware of their opportunities. And like I said earlier before we hopped on, I really think that you can serve as an inspiration. I hope that we can touch the hearts of young people, and as well, we're going to talk about your experiences as a professional. So in whatever stage of life, they can have that inspiration and know, hey, there's things that that they've never imagined that they could go do and experience. And this is how you're looking at a real life example. So um,
Yeah.
that's awesome that you experienced that and gave back to AFS. I thank you for doing that for young Natasha that never got to see that.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of also I was talking to you offline about like what I see in my life. Like that's one of the things, like when we met in Rio, I was working for this startup that was one of the goals was to help people to get like poor like from the poor communities to get
Hmm.
better jobs through data analytics and improve their skills. And just for it, like to see world differently, have more opportunities, and also help their local communities. So when I was responsible for the recruitment for the students and talking to them, I realized a lot of people are not aware of it. Like for me, it's not a shame, but it's too bad. Like when if I tell you, do you want a pizza? And you say yes or no, but you know what pizza is, you know the
Right.
taste of it. But for me, it's inadmissible. Like, is it inadmissible a word? No.
I mean, I totally understood what you said. So, yes, we're going to go with that.
And if I ask you and you have no idea what pizza is, like, because it doesn't come to your mind, for me, that's something that shouldn't happen. So that's what I want to change too. Like
Mm.
just be there and show people, and I don't know, just raise awareness of that's something that doesn't come to their mind. It's a possibility. It's something that exists.
Yeah, and also know that with each opportunity, each dream that you see and accomplish, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be good things and bad things. And one thing that I really related with you was the feeling of not being able to communicate. When
Mm.
I had gone to China, I think I have mentioned it before, but just so you know, I went to China when I was 19, and I actually went and my sister was there. So a little bit different. I had a family member there, somebody that could communicate in my language, but I still felt depressed. I mean, looking back on it, I love the experience, but during that time, it was so hard because I couldn't make friends. Now, she had friends and even people that spoke English, but for me, I really wanted to have a way to make my own friends and be independent, but I had no ability to say, I want to go out and get food, or do you want to come do this with me, or anything, because I didn't know the language, not one bit. So I really
Yeah.
see how challenging that could be, especially when you don't even have a family member, a person to go to. And I did at home.
Yeah, I think that's something that's really important, and most of people, I don't think they realize it, but the power of language, like knowing a different language, how powerful it is to unblock things, like
Hmm.
unblock opportunities, unblock connections. Like I know you, Natasha, because like I know you in English, but when we talk in Portuguese, I know you have limitations. Like you're not yourself. Like I can know you, I can know your side in Portuguese, but I cannot know your full Natasha.
Hmm.
And like this is the power of connection with the language. If I didn't know English, I wouldn't know yourself. Like I would know part of you.
Hmm.
And I don't think people realize it, like how important it is and this kind of experiences abroad. So that's why I think that's a really good thing you're doing, like showing people how important it is through experiences of others. Like there's like so many different opportunities, so many ways of exploring not only the culture going abroad, but also like how you get a rich life, but not in terms of money, in terms
Hmm.
of experiences, connections, and sharing life with others.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And there's never been a time for me personally, and I don't know about for you, where I look on an experience where I've traveled abroad or let go of whatever I was doing in my hometown, whatever finances I had in my hometown and moved, where I regretted it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, you're not gonna be like you said. It's not gonna be like 100% good all the time, but I think it's only good like experiences you can have when you go abroad. It's just enriching your life.
So let's talk about you after AFS. So you go back home. It's time for university, right? I think is that the next step? You're going into your studies.
Yeah, that's it. So like then I come back, I try to find out what I'm gonna do. but since I did it the vocational high school, it was kind of easy for me that like it was clear in my mind that I wanted engineering.
Hmm.
And then I chose electrical engineering. So like again, you have to go like through a lot of exams and it's like SAT. And yeah, and then I got into university. I was like, I'm missing getting going abroad again because I just loved it. How can I go back?
Hmm.
And then in the back of my mind, I was always, okay, I'll just try it. I'll just also try to find opportunities for volunteering or something else to go abroad again. And then there's a ASAC. I don't know if you know it, the program.
It sounds so familiar, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so ASAC, it's a program where you can volunteer
Hmm.
while you're in university. So usually it's you have to pay for it. Uh, and then that's one of the options. I didn't go for it because by the time it's still like I didn't have money to pay for it. But then um, you have the opportunity to go for 3 months, or I think that's the most. There's a lot of different programs you can go. And then in my mind, I was always trying to find an opportunity. In the meanwhile, I was working as a volunteer for AFS. So then I was a local advisor, sending coordinator for AFS. And I heard that there was going to be a program between my department, my electrical engineering department, and France. But it was just like a possibility that maybe it could happen. I was like, okay, cool. That would be nice if I get into, but it's probably not going to happen because it's just a lot of possibilities.
Hmm.
And there's like a range. You have to be at least 20% done with the bachelor's, or at least at max 80%. And then
Mm.
by the time I heard it, it was like 60%. I was 60% done. I was like, okay, I'm gonna reach 80% and it's not gonna happen. And then I was like, okay, but I'll keep going. I'll keep thinking about it. And then in December 2017, my coordinator, he sent a message saying, hey, there's this program. It's open between France and Brazil. Whoever wants to apply, have to apply for it, but you need to know French.
And did you know French?
No. And then I was like, bummer, I don't know French. I mean, like, I did a A1, like one semester of A1,
Hmm.
but it was like a basic conversation. I was like, no way I'm gonna miss it. And then I was like, no, I'm gonna get it. And then it was in December. So in January, the whole month I was like studying from 8 and it was during the vacations here in Brazil. And then I was working in university, so I had some money saved. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And then I paid a intensive course, French intensive course from 8 until 5 p.m. I think. No, it was only the afternoon. So like the whole afternoon for 2 weeks. And during the morning and the night, I would go back home and just study French like the whole time. So for like 1 month, I was living French, like everything, like doing exercises, like everything. And I just had one opportunity to take one test. And then I was like, no, it's not possible. I have to make it. And then it's the DELF. I don't know if you know it. It's a French test to prove it's like the TOEFL for English.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And then I was like, no way, because it's a national exam, so they have dates for it. And
Hmm.
then I think the first one was in January. We had to apply in February, and the
Hmm.
next one was going to be in March. So I just
Mm.
had one opportunity. If I missed it, I was screwed. I was like,
You're a freaking psycho.
no way. I was like, bummer. I have to go for it. And then I was like, okay, I'll just go
Uh-huh.
for it.
Uh-huh.
I'll learn how to do the test because it's a standardized test. And then you have to get half of everything. So like they have the core skills, hearing, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So like for each section, you need 5 points,
Hmm.
and the whole exam you need 50 points out of 100. So it's like 25, 25, 25, 25.
Hmm.
You have to get five on each, 50 overall. So it's like, how can I get it? How can I get the most of it? So like reading, it's something that I can get it because it's similar to Portuguese. so I got 50. Listening, I could also get it because it's like just training the ear. I got, I think I got 40. No, what am I saying? 25, and then I got 23. And on writing, I think I got 10. And on speaking, I think I got 12 or something. Long story short, I got the level. So like I got the certified that I was speaking French. And then okay, that's something good. But then there's the second part, which is the competition. I don't know how many, like they had just three places, three spots for the program, for the whole department of electrical engineering and mechanical engineering. I was like, okay, now I know French, I have good grades. How can, like, I just hope I'm gonna be the best, like among the best ones. And then I was like, it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. But I need this to happen. And then at the end, I mean, you're gonna find it crazy, but there's just three applicants for three spots.
No way. Three applicants? So even if your language wasn't up to par, do you think you could have got it?
I mean, like uh, the French diploma certificate, it was mandatory. You
Mm-hmm.
need it. But then it was most about grades because then if there's like five, they would cut by the grades. So the best ones would go on top. Like the French certificate, it's just like a cutting criteria. And I was
Gotcha, I
like,
understand.
no way, three people for three spots. So like, okay. And then I got in.
That's amazing. So was French ever like a language that you had wanted to learn before that opportunity?
Yes, but you know, like when you this sound good, but I want to learn it, but you don't put any effort to
Mm-hmm.
learn it. I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea about French culture. Like I didn't follow at all. I just knew Paris. Like I just knew the city. I had no idea what's the size, what's the shape of the country. So like I had no interest at all in France. I just wanted to go abroad, and I knew this was the only option for me.
So, okay, for example, if they had said the opportunities in Germany, the opportunities in Africa, the opportunity is in wherever, would you have done any language? Would you have gone for it? Or is there like a place where you've been like, nah, I'm not interested?
No, I think I would do it. I would go for it.
So some other time you could have actually been a German speaker or an Arabic speaker. It was just kind of however the cards fell on the table.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, on my mind, it was I want to go abroad. I want to
Yeah.
have an international career. That's all.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, I didn't have like the US, I didn't want to go back to because yeah, like before like I applied for US universities too and I didn't get in. So I was like, okay, I don't want to go to the US anymore. I just want to change countries.
Wait, because you weren't getting in, or because you're like, you know what, that's not for me anymore. I want to
Yeah.
experience something different. Okay.
No, I think it's a mix of both. Getting rejected on the university. That's what I was telling about rejections. Like I
Mm-hmm.
applied for, I think, 8 universities in the US and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get accepted any
Mm-hmm.
of them. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's time to just accept it and move on. And then I went to a university in Brazil. And then I was like, mm, US, I like going there, but I just want somewhere else. And then it was on my radar, but it wasn't my priority.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to choose between France and US, I would choose France.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's crazy to me how little of effort I put in when I was a kid. Like just in comparison to you, I'm like thinking about it. I was like, wow, I really could have tried harder. And that's what I'm trying to help other people with right now is don't be like me. Don't have regrets. No, I mean I've had some amazing experiences, but just thinking about the perseverance that you've had so far is really inspiring.
Thank you. No, but I think that again, it's just like, I don't know, like a lot of people, like even during like the people I knew, like I would talk to them, but I think maybe it's just like a lack of information or are not aware of the long run or it's just something that don't get to them. So It's really like raising awareness. Like for you, I don't think it's just because you didn't want it. It's because you didn't know it, you know? It's
Mm,
because it didn't come to your mind what like the whole range of opportunities that offer you like this kind of opportunities, you know? Or even like if it's hard, it's also something like maybe you know it, but for you it's so hard to get in to do it, and it demotivates you. And then I mean, like that's something else, you know, like I think it's a combination of knowledge and support and also like this motivation. But I think this all comes to awareness, you know, about the opportunities.
yeah, I think a lot of the times for people, myself included, is what if I put in all of this effort? What if I do everything possible and it doesn't happen for me? You
Hmm.
know, just like you did. You were like, I'm gonna apply for this. I'm gonna learn French. You spent your money on it. You spent your time on it for a month or longer. And it was very possible that you weren't going to go to Paris. What would have happened?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's the bad part, which is dealing with frustration, you know, dealing with oh, I'm not good enough, you know, this kind of thoughts. Because I think that's something I think it happens, but usually I think people try to avoid it, you know, because not a good emotion to deal with, because then your self-worth goes down, and you know, like it brings you down in so many levels. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not competent, I'm not good enough. What if I try something new and I fail again? You know? But it's just like this. I think it's more we try to protect ourselves, and
Mm-hmm.
we say I'm not gonna take the risk because it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be hard process. But at the same time, once you get through one bad experience, I think it builds you resilience for the next one. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can fail. Yes, you're gonna fail, but then you're gonna be ready to fail, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But at least I think you have to try. You have to, I mean, what can you lose? Is it gonna cost your life? Is it gonna cost what's is it gonna cost, you know? If it's
Mm-hmm.
just gonna cost your disappointment, you can deal with it. What if
Mm-hmm.
it brings like there's a sentence I saw. It's like, what if I fall, but what if you fly? You know, like you have
Mm-hmm.
to give it a shot. Just try it, and we never know what's gonna happen.
So inspirational. Oh my God. I'm just gonna replay this every night when I'm feeling down. What if I fall? What if I fly? No, what an awesome point of view. Because there's always that what if I stay? What if I don't do anything? What is my life going to be if I never try and shoot for my dreams? Will I be happy with myself? Will I be full of regret?
Yeah, I think I don't like that's something too like that I try to go with. Usually, like I take too many risks. Sometimes it's overwhelming, you know, like because I know that when I take risks, the potential of getting hurt, you know, like getting frustrated, it's way higher than just
Mhm.
following the mainstream. So
Mhm.
like when I look back, I see that everything I did, it like I was just always swimming against the flow. And
Mhm.
then I was like less, I don't know, like I don't even imagine like if I didn't take one step like before, I wouldn't be able to do the next one and the next one. But
Mhm.
every time I see it, I think it's more I was always against the flow, and I think still I am. I mean, like today I'll tell you later, but today I'm it's still against the flow, you know, like I'm taking a lot of risks, and but I like it, you know, like I think we have to find just follow what our guts say. We have to go and we have to try, and
Mhm.
if people say it's not normal, if it's not, it's too risky, but
Yeah.
if you feel like it, if like deep inside there's something saying go for it, just try. I think it's better follow it than have regrets after.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that you have a basis of faith, and I'm not sure where you are in that right now, but that's something this year. And actually, I'm a convert, so I didn't really have any Christian beliefs when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, I came to Christ and I got baptized and became a believer. And one thing this year that I've really clung to. And I guess this year's January, it's only 15 days in. But even leading up to this new phase in my life where I'm focusing on this podcast and sharing these stories, is there's a scripture. And believe it's Proverbs 16:3, which is commit your plans to the Lord and he will establish them. And I I really feel like if you really go all in, no matter knowing what's going to happen for you, something good is going to come out of it. And even if it's not exactly what you had thought it was going to be, I think the plans will be made good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I definitely like sometimes I think it's hard to tell people like what I see, but I think it's like there's so many things that happen. Like for me, it's impossible. It's not like God or like there's no way like things are happening such in a coordinated way. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. For me, like it's of course there's like some points of my life that I say, wow, that's a disaster. Why is it happening? I think the plan that I was imagining, like everything I was imagining, it's all a lie, and I was just daydreaming, and because everything was going so well, and I was like, oh, that's a plan, that's a plan. But then after the fall comes something good after. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then I learned something about it. Like when there's this bad moment, the moment after, if I didn't fall before, I wasn't gonna be prepared for it. So like for me, it's like a sequence of not comprehensible for me sometimes, but
Mm.
of course, it's like if you that's what comes through what I was saying. Like there's a desire, there's a passion, there's something that burns on your heart. I do think you have to go for it because it's not just I'm hungry, I want to go to the bakery buy something. It's just like a desire, but it doesn't burn. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
something that you feel like like it that desperately, if you don't do it, you feel like it burning, it's burning and you should do it. That's different.
Have you ever read A Man's Search for Meaning?
No.
It's by Viktor Frankl. He was in Auschwitz camp. And so one thing that he says is he could determine whether somebody was going to live or die or make it through another day was whether they had a purpose or not. And
Mm,
he was saying that for each man, there is life is asking something of them. And I believe that to be true. And I think that we're kind of on the same page.
one thing that I think it's sad sometimes, like we get so distracted with 9 to 5 and like all the busy aspects of our lives, and we just do everything to be whatever others tell us to be.
Mm.
And then we I mean, if you ask someone what's your purpose, what do you want to do, what well, like if you didn't have to worry about anything, what's
Hmm.
your purpose, what's your calling?
Yeah.
People don't know. And I think that's sad because I believe everybody has a calling, everybody has something like a bigger mission to do, and but they just get distracted, they get they don't know what to do. Like if there's nothing, if they don't have the 9 to 5, if they
Hmm.
don't have their family, if they don't have like what's you, who are you, where you want to go,
Mm.
people just don't know the answer.
And there's
And I think it's
TV, there, like you're saying, social media. There's so many distractions. It's easy to not look within and kind of know yourself better. So, Rafael, what is your calling?
I mean like for me, I don't know, like I don't know why I started with it, and I think that everything I'm experiencing is kind of like a confirmation of everything. Like for me, education is what changes, like giving access to people. Like in the Bible, they say, Joe, go spread the word until everybody listen to it. But like sometimes the Bible could be a little do analogies. They
Hmm.
spreading the word. Maybe it's talking about God. Maybe it's doing actions. Like touching the untouched, going for the ones that are not heard.
Mm.
So like when they say go spread the word to everybody, maybe it's just go there and visit someone who needs, like just be there for someone. So like for me, what I feel it's the education side of it, like give people the power to be who they want to be, who they need to be. Because today we cannot do anything without like education.
Hmm.
We live in the system, we live in like in the society, so we need education, we need to know languages, we need to know math, we need to do a lot of aspects. And this is going to block you to other levels. So for example, someone who doesn't study, they're not going to have a high school diploma, they're not going to get a job or something, so they're not going to unblock themselves on the
Mm.
society. But it doesn't mean that like there's like a big potential, but to be who they need to be, they have to be unblocked in these little layers we have today. So like for me, unblocking the layers, it's providing education to people. So like one big side of me it's learning languages, for example. So that's one thing that my dream project, it's unblocking people through languages. So making connections is a way of unblocking people, giving them opportunities to reach more people. So for example, if you didn't speak English, there was going to be less people hearing you because English is one of the the most spoken languages in the world. For example, if you were to speak only Spanish and you just couldn't speak English, that people was going to be touched, but it's not your fault. It's just because how it is.
Hmm.
For me, it's educate. For me, I want to go for help people unblock themselves with education. That's what I want to do.
So I think that my last and final question later, we're going to cover that a little bit more, which
Okay.
is what's next. So let's hold on to that
Okay.
and let's go on to your university experience in Paris. So
Okay.
was it different than your experience in the US?
Yes, like in the US, it was more generic. So, for example, we had US history, biology, wood design. Like it was too broad, but I would say I needed less commitment because if I failed classes, it was okay. So I had less pressure, less commitment.
Mm.
But in terms of rhythm, for example, I don't think it was too harsh. I think Brazilian high schools were kind of harsher, but also I didn't took harder classes. I was there just to make friends and like enjoy a little bit the culture.
The
So
hard
I
part
tried,
was the English, let's be honest. Let's
yeah.
not make it more difficult on ourselves.
And then I was like, okay, I'll take some cool classes that I want to learn, but I'll try to be chill. I'll just because already I don't know the language, so I don't want to like overwhelm myself. But in France, the university, everything was in French.
Hmm.
And then like the rhythm is different. For example, in Brazil, we usually have like 4 hours of lecture with the teacher, and I think we spend more time in class than in France. Because in France, for example, we have 2 hours of lecture, two
Hmm.
hours of practical exercises right after what we just learned. You have to learn really quick and be ready to speak about it. Because in France, they have a lot of spoken exercises. The teacher calls you in front of everybody and say how to do it, and then you have to explain to everybody, oh, that's how we do it because I like you have to apply this and apply that, and that's how we do it. So it's really quick. I wasn't used to it, and I think we like my university here. It was more generic in terms of we learn a lot of things and we don't specialize on everything. So like
Hmm.
we learned a bunch of stuff in a short period of time, and we have to learn this quick. So that's something different too. So like I would say the rhythm is way more demanding.
And did you get to do additional language courses before you began university?
No. Yeah, so like something like do we have time to another story?
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm good as long as you're good. So we can do another
Okay.
15 minutes, another half an hour. Wherever the conversation goes.
Okay. So another story about the French, like the sequence of events. We didn't have any programs in France. So like uh yeah, you asked about the language course before. So we didn't have any programs. I was the first one. It was me and another friend of mine. We went from the Department of Electrical Engineering and this other girl from the Mechanical Engineering Department. But we went just for 1 year. And the French preparation course, it was just for people who went there for a double degree program. So we weren't included because we didn't have a double degree agreement between our Brazilian university and the French university.
Hmm.
And we just We went there in August, and the class, like the beginning of August, and the university started at the end of August. So we just had to improve our French like this, like on the go.
Were you just so tired all the time,
Yeah,
every day?
yeah, it was impossible. And then you have to keep up with your French and also learn the different subjects, and you have to write in French too. Like the exams, they were written, so you have to learn how to write in French. So it was, and French is not the most easy language to write, neither to speak, but writing it's pretty hard.
Okay. So during that time, were you in a dorm? What was the living situation like, financial situation like, friends?
Okay, so in France, engineering schools are a little different. I don't think in the US, for example, you have 4 years of bachelor's, right? You get into the first like 4 years. In France, you do 2 years before going to school. They call it prépa. So you do like physics, mechanics, mathematics, all the basic stuff. And then you apply for an engineering school. They call it the Grandes Écoles. And then once you get in, you do just 3 years of training. So like in total, it's 5 years. But then there's this two years. It's separated. And I got into the because I already did a little bit of engineering in Brazil.
Hmm.
I went to the second year of engineering school in France, and then they would back. Everybody was sleeping on the dorm next to the university, and we were like 30 international kids in the university.
Not
We
all
would get a
Brazilian.
no, we were like Brazilians, Italian, Chinese, from Moroccans, a bunch of countries from South America. Mm, Yeah, so like we were different nationalities. And for the first year, we would get a dorm next to the university, like 5 minutes walking. And on the second year, we needed to find an apartment, but actually the university would help us to find it. So it's usually like buildings, school, like student dorms outside the university that the school help us to find.
So what were the finances like? So I know that you got your
Yeah.
schooling paid for. How much was that? Did it cover everything that you needed?
So in France, there's something that I still find crazy. Like the government gives help, financial help a lot. So it doesn't matter where you're from, if you pay your taxes or not, they give you money. So for example, the dorm, I think it was 400, and then you can ask for a financial aid called CAF,
Hmm.
and then the government pays you like 250
And
at the
anyone
end.
can apply for that and
Yeah,
it's awarded pretty easily, or?
yeah, it's kind of compulsory. Like you apply for it, you get it. And like the only condition is your building has to be it needs to have an agreement with the government. And then if they have it, you just ask for it and they pay for it.
Hmm.
And so it's I think it's around 250, 300 or something. And then yeah, so at the end I would pay 250 on housing.
A
And then
month?
the tuition, yeah, per month. And the tuition, I think it was 500 per for the 2 years.
500.
Yeah. I don't remember the number exactly, but it was pretty cheap because by the time I think they had a different agreement between the universities. I don't think if it's the university agreement or if it's the government agreement, but by the time the tuition is, it wasn't expensive. I think I'm pretty sure it was less than 1,000 per year for the 2 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so did you have enough money?
Yeah. I mean, like the Brazilian scholarship, it was a pretty good one. They would pay like 1,000 or something per month.
Hmm.
And so 1,000 per month minus 250 of housing, meals. So like you have money extra money actually by the end of the program.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds incredible. What was the university that you went to again, by the way?
ENSTA, ENSTA.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, there's a really well-known university next to it, Polytechnique. So
Hmm.
it's like a engineering university.
In Paris.
It's not in Paris, it's on the countryside. It's called Palaiseau. So it's like 1 hour from the center of town Paris.
Okay. Did you know anything about France, the area, before you'd gone?
No, not
No.
at all. No. Yeah, like when I went to France, so we were three. Like we were only the three one that didn't get into the double degree program. So
Hmm.
we were trying to find housing. But one of the girls, she already went to France. Like she's half French. So she kind of figured out everything. I never went to Europe. That was the first time. And she was kind of figuring out like where we're gonna stay before we get to the housing at the university. So she found a Airbnb that wasn't far away. But we were three, so we kind of figured out everything. And then it was mostly exploring on the fly. But I have no idea. I had no idea how to get the metro, how to ask for information in French.
Hmm.
Yeah, like it was everything new for me. Like going to the supermarket, walking on the streets, even like I don't know, everything was new for me in France.
And this experience was a bit more different because instead of now living with adults, with a family that was taking care of you, you have to, in university and on this experience, live on your own.
Yeah,
I imagine food wasn't cooked for you every day. There's probably developmental things that you had to experience in this Paris trip. I mean, and you probably even had those experiences, I'm not sure, in Brazil beforehand.
yeah. So I think it was mostly like a common kind of experience for most of university students. So
Hmm.
you have your dorm, you have your friends, and then they have the restaurant. You can go get a meal like for they didn't have breakfast, but they did have a lunch and dinner. So most of the time you have to cook for yourself. You have to figure out yourself stuff like electricity, medical insurance, what else? How to get the transport for the whole year. So like it's a more independent kind of experience.
Hmm.
So you're more on your own.
What did you learn about Rafael during this Paris trip?
I think there it was more about, let's see, what did I learn? I think it's more like about how to deal with myself, this stuff myself, because during university, like in Brazil, I was living by myself, but it was easy. Like it is in Brazil, so I speak Portuguese. I mean, if I couldn't get something, I just asked for something. But I
Hmm.
mean, it's easy. I know everything. I know the law. I know the health, like the health system, how it works. And I had like my dad's insurance. It was covering me because like the program was like the health would cover until a certain age.
Hmm.
Transport, you just have to buy. Like I knew everything. But in France, I had to learn everything, and like nobody was there. Like I had to do everything on my own.
Hmm.
And I think it kind of pushed me to become an adult, I guess. Like
Hmm.
realize that we have responsibilities and we have to like it's not just studying, you have to be open to all the spectrum of adulthood, which is like paying bills, sign up for stuff, cooking, taking care of yourself, exercising, like everything, like all the adulthood kind of activities.
Would you say that it was easier to make friends in Paris or the US
I would say in
or in
France,
France?
but only because no, yeah, no, it's okay. But only because we were a lot of internationals. So
Mm.
I mean, we were 15 Brazilians, so I didn't have a hard time making friends because we were always together.
Hmm.
But in terms of mixing up with either Americans there or French here, I think engineering schools have a different kind of compared to the US during high school. Because in the US, I went there for senior year. So already everybody already have their group of friends, so it's
Hmm.
harder to get into. But in France, they have a different system. So you either get into the school by applying for the first year, or you get into by applying after and you get into the second year, even though
Hmm.
you're French. And they always try to do activities to integrate people. So they have like, how do you say it? They have like parties at night during the week. They have events. They have clubs. They have different activities.
There's a lot of social life that's
Yeah,
happening.
exactly. Yeah. So like this make it easier to make friends and integrate. Also, also again, you have to go like to go out and be there. You have to kind of expose yourself.
Who were the most important connections that you made in France, would you say?
I think I wouldn't say like the where, but the moments, like the moments where we were in hardships or during the COVID. I was in France during the COVID. And then we were sharing a bed, like I was sharing a bedroom, like a 18-meter squared with a friend of mine. So I think the whole group I was living with during the COVID, for example, it was one of the most like important connections I made. So because we shared a lot of moments, we would just hang out every day of the week. And
Mm-hmm.
also the group of internationals, because like everybody's on the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, they don't speak French, they don't speak the language, they don't know the system. So we have to deal with everything together. So like this is why I think we are connected because we're like supporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the strongest connections I have here. And also like that's during my university life. And then I feel like there's the same thing during my working life.
Mm-hmm.
The same kind of situation, like people who are new in town, who they're not from Paris, they are just trying to find friends and they 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 need someone to talk, like we get together because we have something in common, which is even though if they're French, they're outsiders. So the outsiders that are living together, I think that's the most like the most strongest connections I had.
So are you part of some sort of group there that welcomes people that are new to France?
No, no,
Okay. I don't know why I was
yeah,
getting that vibe.
no, 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 no.
Oh. So do you have more time? Because I know we only scheduled an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's fine if you want to. Like,
This
we
is
can
great for
continue.
me. This has been so much fun talking with you. Honestly, like I just feel like I could talk about this forever.
Yeah, for me, it's fine.
Awesome. Okay, so is there anything you would have done differently during these school years? For example, when I was in university, I feel like I didn't go to enough groups. I would have applied myself to maybe some sports groups or some uh, other activities, whether it was theater or whatever. I wasn't really involved with extracurricular activities. I had a boyfriend at the time, and I've always been very focused on relationships. So I'm curious what you would say.
I mean, I don't regret it, but I would say get in touch with more French people. I mean, like, I don't have as many French friends as like I wouldn't say I should have, but like I was always hanging out with international people. I mean, it's perfectly fine for me, but I just would try to get in touch with French culture because actually, like, if you ask me about something about French culture, I don't think I know 100%. I don't think I know a lot. But in comparison with the American culture, because, like I was living with American family, I was celebrating all the holidays and I knew how the rituals were because I was with American people. But here in France, I think I missed this part, which is like knowing more about the culture. And
Mm,
also, so like I came to study, and then when I came back to work, most of the people I was hanging out with, they were mostly to like foreigners, so they weren't French people. On the first job and the second job, it was more French, and there I think I knew a little bit more about the French culture. But I think it's mostly this. Try to get in touch with more French culture because I wouldn't say it's a lack of effort. Maybe it is, but like getting to know more about the French culture.
so you didn't ever have a French girlfriend?
No, yeah,
Had to
like
ask.
so far that's how you learn.
All right.
No, yeah, but like so far, like I have a good understanding of the French, how it works and the culture. But like it's different when you have a connection with someone who is French and at to this level, like going to their house, to their families, and I don't know, living everything.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I get it. Even my small time, a short time in Brazil, I would have never imagined eating the things that I did, experiencing the people, the way that I got to going to certain places, just like, small towns that I would have never
Hmm.
thought to go to. You only think of, oh, go to the beach.
Yeah.
So I totally get where you're coming from there. So you kind of made this podcast historical. It was your fault. You brought up 2020, the pandemic.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What
Sorry
was
about
that
that.
like in Paris? Or France? Oh my God. Just say France, Natasha.
You can Paris if you want. Like it's okay. Because I was in Paris during the fucking pandemic, so it's okay.
Okay. So what was that like for you?
I'm not gonna lie, it was like the hardest part of the experience because like nobody ever experienced a pandemic before, like
Mm-hmm.
shutting down everything and quarantine and being locked down. So I mean everything was chaotic and like I was by the moment it started, it was the moment where we needed to find an internship.
Mm,
So there's this whole situation where we want to graduate, but to graduate, we need the internship. But to have the internship, government has to say you can go. Working from home didn't exist.
mm-hmm.
And so it was like all over. And then like it was a mental stress. Being friends with my family in Brazil, I was like, what if someone dies? Or what if something happens? Like this whole tension, it was chaotic. But again, like that's where it comes the good part of being with people, because
Mm-hmm.
I was never alone. So I was alone when I went to my internship because it was in the south of France. But also we would go to the office sometimes. Most of the time, I would say like 80% of the time I wasn't alone. So it made the situation a little better,
Mm.
but it was complicated. It was a bittersweet kind of sensation.
Yeah, and I heard that it was more strict in Europe than it was in the US, especially in Arizona, where I'm from. We're very Republican and very kind of like, you can't tell us what to do. So, for a long
Yeah.
time, we didn't have mask mandates. We didn't have mandates to stay at home. It wasn't until later on in the year, I don't know, June, July, August of 2020, that they were like, oh, okay, guys, put a mask on.
Gonna help.
Yeah, yeah, but we weren't locked down ever in our houses.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, here in France, I think when was it? January 2019, I think.
Mhm.
And so that was when they said maybe there's something. Then in March, I think they said stay at home, don't go out.
Mhm.
In April, they said if you want to go out, you can go out in a radius of 1 kilometer of your house, and you need a paper saying why you're outside. And then if I wanted to just walk, just to take a little air, I would need to bring this piece of paper saying I'm going to be out from 7 to 8 p.m. No, I think they had times like you can just be out from 5 to I don't remember. They had like a curfew too. So
Where did you get that paper? You made it for yourself or someone gave it to you?
I don't know the government on the website. Yeah. So you needed to go to the website of the government. They had a special page for it, and then you get the paper, you fill it out, you go to the supermarket with masks, and or if you're gonna just walk a little bit, you bring the paper, you sign it, and if you don't have it, you pay a fine.
Okay. Did you ever have to pay a
Yeah,
fine?
no. I mean, I barely went out. I think I was too scared of doing everything, so I was waiting for it to get better, and I was hoping they would just forget about the paper, like the document. And I think I went like to the supermarket. I would get the paper, but I wouldn't see friends in other parts of the city.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
it was pretty restrict
And
compared
that
to
was for a
Arizona.
while, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then I think it was going back and forth. Like
Mm.
I think we were following the waves. And then when it was down, they would say you can go out. And then they said you go out, it went up. They said it's your fault, you stay locked down. And then it was like going out and back, like out and in all the time.
Gotcha. So you finally did get an internship and you went to the south of France?
That's it.
Okay.
But it was all home office remotely.
Hmm.
And it wasn't the best experience because I never did it. Like I don't like I'm a kind of person who is I like to be in like presence. I like
Hmm.
to see people. I like to work with people, and I have no idea how to work from home. And then it wasn't the best results, the best experience. But I mean, I got the grade I needed, so I graduated. That's the important part.
And so after that, you had to go home. You were planning to go home. Did you want to stay in Europe? What was that like?
Okay. So the scholarship I got from Brazil, actually they had a restriction. We give you the scholarship, but you have to go back to Brazil and stay there for the same amount of time.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah. So like they gave me 17 months of scholarship. So I needed to go back to Brazil and stay there for 17.
That's kind of a weird thing for them to do. So I'm guessing they're investing in you so you can invest in the country. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the deal. Since you are trained, like you have more knowledge, have more skills, now come back and work for us and help other companies to use your skills.
Hmm.
Or go back, finish your university, or go back and do a PhD or something like this. So it's like a return of investment, I would say. If you don't go back, if you break the contract, you would need to give back all the money.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for mentioning that because that's really important to know.
Yeah. So
Okay,
like,
so I'm guessing you didn't break that contract,
no,
not that rule.
no, I was
Okay,
too scared.
so good at following rules.
Some of them.
Okay, so did you get a job? Did you go back to school? What did you do?
Okay, so second part of the exchange program in France. So like, we went for just 1 year. And there's no agreement between my university in Brazil and in France. We were supposed to stay there just for 1 year. But my friend and I were like, if everybody's staying here for 2 years, why we're not staying here 2 years?
Hmm.
And they were like, let's make it happen. And then we are like, let's negotiate the contract. And then we needed to call the government, the Brazilian government. We talked to our French university and we talked to our Brazilian university. We were in the middle the whole time, going back and forth and asking, what's the document? And then we're going to the French university. They need this, and but we need this from the university from Brazil. And then we're like doing all the going back and forth information. And I remember it took us like 4 months of negotiation. But at the end, they said, okay, we can sign up an agreement. Your guys are going to stay. And then we switched from 1 year to 2 years. And then we were the first ones that started the double degree between my Brazilian university and my French university. And
I
then,
rescind my last comment. Not a rule follower, a rule breaker, a rule
yes,
changer.
that's why I was like, some of them I follow,
Right.
but some of them I.
So you
And
guys were
yeah,
like,
so
this is going to be a great experience. Let's keep the good times rolling.
yes. And also, like, if we were there just for 1 year, so like, I don't know if you know, like, the double degree, it's like the program. When you do it, usually you get two diplomas, the one from your home university and one from the other university. So like if we were to stay there for just 1 year, we wouldn't have the French diploma.
Mm,
We would just have the Brazilian diploma and maybe a certificate saying they came here for 1 year. But if we did the 2 years,
hmm.
now we have the two diplomas. So we have a diploma that's recognized by the French government and one from the Brazilian government.
I have a feeling that this is going to be important for when you guys
Yeah,
are when you're going back to
exactly.
Paris. Okay, our friends. Okay, okay, okay. Continue.
And then, yeah, so like I go back to Brazil because I have to follow the rules, and then I stay. Kind of because I was annoying the government because there's like a law that maybe was applicable for me, and I was like trying to contact my lawyers and everything. Should I follow or not? at the end I had to follow. Well, I learned that I had to follow. And then so like having the diploma for Brazilians, it's easier because when you apply for a job in France, if you have a diploma, so this for the context, when you get a job to apply for a job, you have to be French or from European, like any European country.
Hmm.
But if you have a diploma from France, it's easier to ask for a visa
Mm.
because you were skilled enough, I guess I would say. You gotta to go back to France, and then it's like the usually the process of asking for a job, like a visa, no, employment visa. The company has to ask the government has to say yes, and then the company say yes to the candidate. The candidate goes back to the government saying, they told me and you told me it's okay. So like you have to interact, the company has to interact with the government. It's the sponsorship.
Sure. And I'm sure for a lot of companies, they're not willing to do that. It seems kind of like a tedious process. Why don't I
Yeah,
just hire some French person here?
yeah. So that's a bad part. It's either someone was doing the internship in France and the manager knows the candidate, they say, okay, we are gonna do the process because we know you,
Hmm.
or it's really hard to convince the company that they should hire you.
Hmm.
But if you have the diploma, it's just you, like the company has to give you an offer and say, we want to hire you. They don't have to interact with the government.
Mm.
And you say, they gave me a contract, give me the visa, they give you the visa, and then you go to work. So like there's no sponsorship actually. It's
And
just a contract.
did you know that? Was that part of the reason why you guys fought so hard while you guys were there in France? Or is that something that you found out after and you're like, oh shit, good thing I did that?
Guess what? No, we have no idea. I mean like
You had no idea.
yeah, I mean like we are just I think we kind of like I think at the beginning we're like everybody's doing it. We kind of have the rights to do it too. But after we're like doing just for the challenge too, I think. Like I mean, that's something new. What if we get it? You know, like it's challenging. We were like, let's try it,
Yeah.
but we didn't have any idea that what would be the effects of it. What would be the benefits?
Well, I feel like a continuing theme in your life is kind of like, what if? What if? What if?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I mean that's my modus operandus. Like every time I'm like, what if? What if?
Mhm.
And then with this what if, and I chose to go for it. That's how I got a job here. And then yeah, so it like it's a little harder because I went back to Brazil and then I didn't have a student visa because if you stay in France while you're a student, it's easier to ask for a job
Mm.
because you just have to change your permanent residency. But if you're outside, you have to ask for a visa and then for the permit. So
Hmm.
it's one step more. But then like I created like I would send my CV with a letter saying, "Hey, this is my case. I have a diploma." And then I took the text of the law and I was like, "That's the law that applies for me. You don't need to worry about sponsorship. You don't have to do anything. If you like me, just give me the contract. I'll do everything legally, and then I know how to handle it."
You're the
Then
perfect salesman.
and then the funny thing is, like the first time the company I started with, I sent them just my resume, and they said no. And then I send it again through my friend, and they said, "Okay, we're gonna start the process with you." And then the first thing they asked was about the sponsorship. I was like, "No, it's okay," because and then I was describing the law, and they're like, "Okay, if it's easy like this, we're gonna continue." But then I don't think a lot of people know it because I talk to a lot of students that come here to do the program, and they don't know that this is the thing. If you if you're eligible, like if you can apply for this kind of a visa, it's easier for you to get a job. And usually, like friends of mine, I give them the document so they can handle it with their resumes. So it's easier for them to get the job. But it's not a lot of people that know about it.
So did you only apply to one job or did you apply
No,
to
no, no, no,
multiple?
no. A lot.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like 60 or I don't know how many.
60?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah,
And so you got a job where your friend worked or okay, so it kind of happened that it was the referral that kind of helped you?
yeah. That helped a lot. I mean, like
Hmm.
if you have some I think the thing is when you try to get a job, you either have a friend inside and you just give your resume or you just go through LinkedIn. You try to talk to someone, and if the person answers you, you give your CV to them, and then hopefully they're gonna cut the line and it's gonna go directly to the manager. Because usually what happens is you get cut by the HR. So if they see your resume and they think it's not worth, they're not even gonna send it to the manager.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, so that's the problem. But if the manager sees it and if they like it, they're gonna talk to you at least. So that's one strategy. Like just skip the line. Try to skip the line. I don't know, through LinkedIn or friends or find someone.
So did you get other interviews?
Yeah,
You did.
yeah. No, yeah. I mean, like, but this one was easier because it was a different kind of jobs. It was different kind of jobs too. Some of them were like on the research area, going back to school kind of, and I didn't want it.
Mm,
And this one, like the funny thing, like something interesting here in France is even though you don't know a lot of the subject, if you demonstrate your will and your ability to learn, they probably are going to hire you
mm,
for the job. So for example, I was working as a software developer
hmm.
before, but then the first job I got was for as an integrator, test and validation, like a different domain. And I never did it before. I didn't know the tools. I didn't know how to work with it. But then I was like, okay, I know how to do this. I like to learn. And then we were talking. They were asking me questions, and they're like, okay, you don't know it, but we feel like you can learn it. And then they are like, you can try, and then we're gonna give you the job.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
They didn't want to just necessarily hire somebody that already knew how to do it. They were so open to you.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I feel like that's something here in general in France. Like a lot
Mm,
of companies, like they want someone that not necessarily know how to do the thing, but they demonstrate the willing to learn and the ability to learn too. Like
mm. They're kind of
you
looking
have to show
for
that you can.
a culture fit and ability. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. It's more about like also the human part, I think, like the how your connection with them and if it fits technically. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you about the engineering side. So if it's technically human or social and long vision also.
What do you mean?
Technically, if you have a background at least that you can develop the knowledge that you need. For
Hmm.
example, I was a software engineer, but then it's easy to understand how to debug, which is like to find errors on the system if I
Hmm.
know how to develop the system. So I know how to read the code and find what's the problem. For example, a human fit, it is when talking to me, like we feel like a connection. If it's
Hmm.
not just someone that just know how to do the thing and would never talk to anybody on the company, like just
You're not that awkward antisocial engineer.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What else? Yeah, I think it's not only the technical stuff, like not only if you know how to do the thing, it's also a global kind of analysis.
Okay. So from your position now, I don't know if you moved positions, is it easy for you to move positions or even move countries?
Okay, so that comes to the second part of taking risks and apply my what if.
Hmm.
So this year I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur, so I'll just go for it. And then I was like, okay, I'll try to start a startup. And then I quit my job, and then that's where I am right now. I'm trying to build my business.
Whoa. When did you quit your job?
It was last year, like in November, March, May, I think. Yeah. But the thing is, here, like I think in the US, I don't know how it works, but here in France, every kind of like each kind of job needs a different kind of permit. So if I'm an engineer with I don't know, like a salary up to I don't remember how much, I can apply for the visa that I had when I arrived here. But if I want to work here as a sponsor with a sponsorship, it's a different kind of uh, it's a different kind of permit. So I would need to change. So I need to ask the government to change my permit to this other one.
Mm,
If I want to be a teacher, it's a different category. I need to ask the government to change my, like, know what I mean? So every time I change categories, I need to ask the government to change my permit.
hmm
So it's not easy to change positions. It depends what's the kind of categories that you're changing. If I were to change between the same category, for example, from engineer uh, on company X to engineer to company Z, it would be okay. I would just apply for another job. But if I like my category right now, it's entrepreneur, so I need to ask to change my permit.
And you're in that process.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about what's next for you.
Yeah, so like for me right now, I'll try. I mean, like, I hope it's gonna work to create my company, my business, and I want to go as a digital nomad, like just go for freedom. Like my main, like I was telling you about before, like my main goal, like my purpose is to do something into education.
Mm,
But for me, like I need freedom, like time, geographic, and money wise, like financial freedom. And like all the experiences I had during my life, people that I know that they have this kind of freedom, they
hmm
don't work for someone, they have their business. I don't, sorry. So that's what I want, like create my business to be able to say where I can be, what time and how much I can spend.
I 100% agree with you. And I think we're kind of on a same path right now. So that'll be exciting to see how we move forward with that. So what's your business gonna be?
Okay, so right now I'm trying to build a business. So I have different ideas, but I have to give a little shot. The one that I'm trying to build, it's a rental platform for like
hmm
cameras, drones, so like high-tech product. And we are already in the incubator and we are trying to see how it works, find the good business model and get financial investments. And yeah, so like we are at the very beginning. We are
Who's we?
seeing.
Who's we?
So I'm working with a friend of mine.
hmm
So we decided to create a business together. We studied together in France, and then we're partnering up to create the business. So that's we.
Gotcha. Did he quit his job as well?
No, so like he's in the process. So
Okay.
because he has a different situation, and
hmm
I think I'm more risky. So like I like to take more risks.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're all in, and a lot of the things that you've done so far has led you up to this. So you have some engineering and software development, which I feel like will help you create your platform.
Yeah,
What else do
yeah.
you think
So
has prepared
like
you?
the risks. I mean, like most people would say it's crazy to take this kind of risks. Because here in France, once you have a permanent contract, it's pretty hard to get fired and it's pretty comfortable because even though you don't like sometimes you're not productive, but you'll still get your salary. So it's comfortable. Then
Ugh,
I
I
mean
hate I hate that. I hate that some people, I mean, I hate that for myself. Anyone can do what they want, but like just getting by, comfortable, not being creative and putting your effort into something that you really care
exactly.
about just to make some money so you can make it to the next day. I'm like, "Oh my God, like what a bore."
Yeah, I know. That's why like for me it's when you go for a coffee, you're working in a company, and then every time someone talk about the company, it's like, no, I just did what I had to do, and like you feel there's no motivation. For me, that's horrible. And then I'm like, no, I can't. I mean, maybe I'll be like 1 year, maybe I'll just fail. I don't know. Maybe I'll fail, but what if what if I don't fail?
You're going to look back at this interview and I hope you do and you're going to be like, "That's when I started. How cute was I?" And then you're like, "Look what I did."
We both.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I think that's something else. Like I might sound like an anarchist, but something. something like this. But actually, like we are built to work for people, but we forget what our dreams are, and
Mm.
we fall in this comfortable life, and we just forget about it, you know? Maybe it could be anything. I mean, like you have your podcast idea, I have my platform. Someone wants to build a coffee shop or a creative copy,
Hmm.
where you paint stuff. It doesn't matter. It's their dream. They can build it. They can be fulfilled, happy, and do something that means something to them. But we are just like we fell into this kind of trap. I would say. Like, I mean, I think you've read the book Rat Race, the Rich
Yeah.
Dad Poor Dad.
Hmm.
We kind of fell into this system where we have to work because we have things to pay, and then we have to pay, like it's a cycle, and then we don't break out, and it's just impossible to get out of it. But I think it's also like this willing, not willing, because willing I think is too strong, but I think it's like you're conditioned to not take risks and follow what you want, and then you just have to take the risk and try it. And I don't know what if it works.
So tell me really quickly, what are the expenses for you there in Paris? How have you prepared yourself to live there for however long? What does that look like?
Okay, your housing when you're an adult, it's pretty expensive. So
Not in
like
the
it's
dorms?
around, and then you stop having financial help from the government, which is fair enough. And I would say like you pay around 1,000 euros for housing,
For a
and
bedroom, for apartment, for a studio?
it depends. Like if you're inside Paris, it's gonna be more expensive. Like one bedroom would be 200 or three, no, 1,200 or 1,300. But it all depends where you are and what kind of apartment you have. If you're outside, it's less expensive, but it's I would say around 1,000. Um, and then you could also share your room. It's really common here, even if you're already like on adult life, like a 30s or even 40s, I guess, like to share apartments.
Hmm.
It's pretty common. So like I would say 1,000. Then for transport, everything else, I would say like 500.
Hmm.
So for like living, would guess 1,700. You could have a okay life.
Hmm.
And then it depends also on your career, what's your profession, your salary. Engineers here, they start around, I mean, France is not, they don't pay a lot compared to
Hmm.
the US. So for example, software engineers and engineers in general, they start at 45, okay?
Hmm.
So that's like the average.
Yeah, that's a very like uh maybe even just a beginning role here in the US. Yeah, I think Andrew, he was making 21 or $22 an hour. I think that was like 55, 60,000, but that was also in 2017 or 18. I don't know.
Yeah. But here, I think in general, salaries are lower, way lower than
They're
the
lower,
US.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the
Yeah, but
cost of living is a little bit less as well.
yeah. I mean, for Paris, it's a little expensive. I mean, like if you like paying 1,000 for housing, I think it's a little expensive if you ask people around here. It's like
Yeah.
our- again, like 45, it's the salary of an engineer. So like other people, other careers, they get less than this.
Hmm.
So, and engineers, they get a good amount of money compared to others.
Hmm.
And yeah, and like preparing for this, I always try to build my emergency fund. So like I was trying to be ready for like 6 months or more of
Emergency fund sounds very much like Dave Ramsey. I'm not sure if you watch Dave Ramsey or
no.
okay, okay. He talks about having an emergency fund. So I'm not sure if for you where that term came from or if that was just a natural.
Who is him? I think I've heard of him, but I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
he's a Christian financial advisor.
Maybe I heard of him, but yeah, it's not something I came up with. It's something I learned because like I'm very curious. So like again, I do a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, like I take risks and everything, but it's always calculated. I mean, like I don't go blind
Hmm.
to do things. So like I prepare myself and I try to understand a little what the consequences are, what are the good and bad parts. I just don't, like when I say follow your heart, you don't have to follow your heart blindly. You have to be also a little wise, like try to prepare yourself. But yeah, maybe I've heard from him
Mm.
on during my studies about financial stability during,
Okay. So you've created an emergency fund for yourself.
yeah, yeah. And also there's like in France, when you decide to create a company, you can ask for help. For
Hmm.
example, they pay you during like you pay your charges, you pay your taxes, and then if you decide to create a company, they help you like they pay you 70% of your salary to help you to sustain yourself too, like during a period of time, so you
Hmm.
can build your business. They give you the opportunity to try something.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know for a fact you've applied for it because you're freaking resourceful and you're willing to put that time and effort. So did you get it?
Yeah. No, yeah, so I have it too. Like,
Wow.
yeah. And then like in the incubator I'm in, a lot of like I think everybody has it. So like that's a common mechanism. Once you decide to create a business, usually you ask like to break your contract in a way that you can get your you can get this help. And then again, it's limited, but it helps you a lot. Like you can focus 100% on your business, and then you know that if you have like the emergency fund that you have, you're gonna use it if it doesn't work or if you need it after, like you play with it.
So tell me about this incubator because I know you mentioned it earlier, but I guess I really wasn't understanding what it was. I kind of just zoomed over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, do you know what the vision is? Incubator?
Yeah, I mean, I know that like it's kind of it seems very like techy here in maybe in like Silicon Valley. There's like incubators. But I really don't get the whole point or the
Okay.
system.
Okay. So the analogy is, do you know incubator in a hospital when a baby is born and the baby's not ready to like he's born before the right time.
Mm,
So it's not fully formed, for
hmm.
example, like they need to make some other connections in the brain or develop the bones. So they're not ready. So they need to stay on a closed environment
Mm,
that is controlled, that gives them the kind of the same environment as on the mom's womb, belly.
hmm.
I don't know how to say it.
Womb, yeah.
And womb until they are ready to, are they're completed, they're formed, fully formed. So that's how it works in the hospital for
Hmm.
babies. The analogy is incubators is when the idea is not ready, so they need a controlled environment where they have all the resources needed so they can build themselves until they are ready to go to the world and become a company. So the incubation is a program where you have support from mentors, like all the aspects of a company, financial, legal, marketing, HR, networking. So they help you to transform your idea into a business plan, into a
Mm,
project that will get out of there as a company. So usually incubators, you have to apply for it. You need to have an idea that's already some kind of prototype already. And then you pitch your idea and you say, that's what I want to do. And then that's where I want to be, how I want, where,
pitch, not bitch,
huh?
right?
What did I say?
Oh, the way that you said it sounded like bitch, but it was pitch.
Pit, pit.
Pitch. Pitch your idea. You bitch your idea at these people. Hmm.
Project. So we want to work with the circular economy. Is that a thing?
I think so.
Instead of buying stuff, you're gonna rent. That's kind of the deal.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. So is there a time frame in which you get to be in the incubator and then they're like, okay, fly?
Yeah, so it's a 6 months. That could be like 6 months plus 6 months. Could be 12 months in total. And then they finish the program and you can either stay there, like if you want to stay at their locals, like you
Hmm.
can pay rent and everything. But otherwise, the goal is to continue elsewhere. Maybe find another incubator or continue as a company.
So, do you see yourself being based in France for long term, or what does that look like?
Not sure, not sure. I don't think so. Like, I mean, like you know me, so like I have friends all over, and I don't want to be, I don't want to need to be in one place. I
Hmm.
want to be in one place if I want, but not need to be there, you know?
Hmm.
And like so far, I'm good here in Paris because I have my friends and I have a good base. But I mean, like for me, home is where people that I love is. So like people where I like are. So far, I'm kind of divided. But if I want to go to somewhere for a period of time, I want to be able to do it. But
Hmm.
it's not the city. If I want to stay here in Paris, it's not going to be because of the city. It's going to be because of the people.
And I'm sure that you've had more experiences traveling. I think you had mentioned that you'd gone to Italy for an immersive language program. How many other places have you gotten to travel to since you've moved abroad?
Okay, so kind of a lot. But that's something cool that I find about Europe
Mm,
because I mean, like it's so close. Everything is so close. So like if you take a bus in 4 hours, you are in Belgium, for example, and it's a
hmm.
completely different culture. If you take a train in 1 hour, you are in Germany. I mean, like I went to France, I did a lot of cities, England, Germany, Belgium, Germany, Italy. What else? Brazil, of course, Spain, Turkey. Yeah, I think that's maybe I'm missing something, but what else? Maybe Austria, and yeah, I think that's all.
And do you have other places on your list of where you want to go and visit?
Yeah, like I have a lot of different countries like Thailand, Vietnam, Brazil, a lot of different cities, France, a lot of different cities. Yeah, I mean like even in the same different countries, a lot of different cities.
Hmm.
Also explore like in France they have territories that are outside of the country, like Europe. So they call it Dome. So they have like Mayotte, they have different different islands around the world, which is part of France too. So like I want to go visit there and why not live there for a while?
Hmm. Wow. I mean, it all sounds amazing, Rafael. And for the closing comments, I guess I just want to know if there is a special message that you'd like to pass on to people that might be listening to this podcast.
I would say no matter what you want, I don't think you're gonna ever be ready for it. So I don't think you have to block yourself and think about everything that could be wrong. I think if you really want something, just follow it and go for it. And of course, you have to think about it before, be prepared. Don't just, I mean, don't go blindly. I mean, if you're going to go abroad, learn about the country, learn about the language, be ready financially, be ready to be flexible, to be open-minded and meet new people with different perspectives of life and connect with them and explore. I mean, what if it goes wrong? Yes, but what if it goes well and what if everything works? So just go for it and we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you so much, Rafael. This was really special for me. And I know for a lot of people that will be watching this, they're going to get a lot of inspiration from you. So thank you so much. You've been amazing.
Thank you, Nat, for hosting me. And yeah, I hope that's gonna help people to get aware of everything that's possible.
Best of luck on your new ventures and projects. And I
Thank you.
know they're going to be great because you're doing it.
Thank you. And I think your podcast is gonna be amazing too. Like it's really inspirational and I hope it's gonna touch a lot of people and people are gonna be inspired and I mean you have potential to change lives and that's incredible. I hope you keep doing it and no matter what happens, just go for it and doing it.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll close it out here.